I use Instagram, Facebook.
I use TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
I don't know, 2 or 3 hours every night.
I mean, according to my phone's history, it's like 6 hours, right? But I think I just scroll.
Sharing reels or liking posts offers the feeling of being connected. But what about the potential dark side to social media?
Mr. Zuckerberg, you and the companies before us, I know you don't mean it to be so, but you have blood on your hands.
Parents should have the final say on what apps are appropriate for their children.
As controversy surrounds tech giants and what experts say can be addictive features, children are left facing a number of issues.
21-year-old Alexis Spence and her mother Kathleen are from Suffolk County, Long Island. Both attended the January 31st Senate hearing about child exploitation on social platforms. At age 11, Alexis had developed what she describes social media addiction, which later led to a life-threatening eating disorder.
Could not stop. I call it doom scrolling. I'd be doom scrolling on it. It was showing me graphic and traumatizing content. I mean, it was showing me malnourished children, dying children.
These were all hashtags that were being fed to her through Meta's algorithms. In May 8th, 2018, she had a whole plan of taking her life, and by the grace of God, her friends had reported it on one of her accounts, and they were able to stop her.
At the Senate hearing, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg apologized to the parents in attendance.
Would you like now to apologize?
Knowing to have to go through the things that your families have suffered.
Research shows that adolescents who spend over 3 hours a day on social media may be at a heightened risk for mental health issues. In New York City, recent data by the Department of Health found 77% of high schoolers are spending 3 or more hours daily on screens. Dr. Isaac Vagafe is an assistant professor at Baruch College who has surveyed hundreds of adults on social media.
On average, for someone who could be addicted to social media, how many times do they check their phone?
I think on average now we're touching our phone about 200 times a day, which is plenty. They say on average they use it for 2 hours a day, up to even 8 hours a day. We're not developed to see so much, again, new things, so many new content constantly.
Could social media then, in a sense, rot our brains?
I mean, I think it's still pretty early. What I see, for instance, what I have seen over the years with my students, would be able to lecture for an hour uninterrupted, but now I can only do it about 20 minutes.
One of Dr. Vagafe's previous students who participated in the study says it was life-changing.
After this study, I just decided to come up with different ways to occupy my time. So as simple as going to the park, or just a simple coffee after work. Honestly, the small things, those I believe, are the best ones.
Social media, we're glued to it because we feel that connectivity. But in reality, what do humans really need to feel connected?
So I think people need real friends to feel connected. And I think through social media, being connected in that way kind of tricks us. And often to feel connected to someone, it has to be repetitive.
Dr. Samuel Glazer is a Manhattan psychiatrist who specializes in addiction therapy. He says our basic human need for connection isn't found through influencers or gaining thousands of followers.
How many friends do you realistically need to feel connected nowadays?
Real friends? Probably 3.
Really? Just 3? Experts say more studies need to be done to compare increased social media use to traditional substance or compulsive use disorders.
One study even found that obsessive social media use does not affect the brain in the same way as a drug would, which is a hopeful sign.
It's actually good news, because when the brain regions that govern self-control are damaged, for example, in the case of substances, we have toxins that actually affect these brain regions. It's very difficult to fix these brain regions. If these brain regions are intact and it's just an issue of motivation and awareness, this is something that is relatively easy to resolve. We just need to teach people to self-regulate and take control over social media use.
Children are being fed algorithms that go...
New York City made history in January, becoming the first ever U.S. city to declare social media a public health crisis. with plans to implement policy to control children's access on social platforms. The largest social platforms collectively brought in $11 billion in advertising revenue in the US, just on users younger than age 18. New York State Senator Andrew Gurnardes introduced 2 bills targeting the tech industry's hold over children.
The first is called the Stop Addictive Feeds, Exploitation for Kids Act, or the Safe for Kids Act. This would regulate social media companies and say that they cannot use addictive algorithms on the social media feeds for minors under the age of 18 as a default option. Now, the second bill is called the New York Child Data Privacy Protection Act, and it basically says that internet companies cannot collect personal data from minors under the age of 18 and then use it for a commercial purpose to sell ad revenue without consent.
Potential signs to watch are relying on your phone to relieve stress or cravings, lack of sleep, and noticing changes in your relationships. But there are ways to get better.
Simple steps, sharing something with someone. If you're at work and you're both on screens and then you'd normally go into social media, ask someone to go for a cup of coffee, leave your phones, maybe even make a game out of it. Let's see how long we can go without our phones.
Technology is advanced. We're not stopping technology. We're not stopping social media. No one is saying that, but we need to make it a safer place for children because we know that they're there. They're not going anywhere. The social media is not going anywhere. Just make it safer.
I'm Linda Gaudino, News 4 New York.